Well, it is Groundhog Day, and it's also the beginning of Black History Month, so we're going to talk a little bit about what prejudice looks like in the eyes of some people. But for me, Groundhog Day is interesting because my really good friend, Michael Triandafel's right here, and his daughter, Maya. I met them in June of 2021 when we just showed up in Florida. And my goal was just to find a place to stay because we're going to go through an internship to become a Unity minister. The first Sunday we showed up, they introduced Marlene and I, and we felt like it was home, just like this feels to us today, and to Marlene and I for sure. But the second week we came, they were going to have, the minister was leaving to actually get married, we didn't know that, was leaving, and they had a guest speaker flying in from Atlanta. And unfortunately, the next morning, on Sunday morning, Michael, who I did not know, who was the president of the board, and the music director were running around talking about, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Because the minister's plane did not fly that night, and she did not show up to speak. So the concept of me stepping in and speaking when I have no idea what I'm going to talk about is quite familiar to me, and started with Michael. And this is the time that first time Michael has ever been with us here in Dallas, and he did it to me again. Can you imagine that? I mean, that's Groundhog Day all over it, I'm telling you. So he may not ever come back because this is getting a little old. But he's a dear, dear friend of ours, and appreciate the fact that they're here today. So I want to use a book that I really love. It's called You Are Special by Max Lucado. And I'd like to share that with you. So be patient with me. But I love this story. The Wemmicks were small wooden people. All of the wooden people were carved by a woodworker named Eli. His workshop sat on a hill overlooking their village. Each Wemmick was different. Some had big noses, others had large eyes, some were tall, and others were short. Some wore hats and some wore coats, but all were made by the same carver, and all lived in the village. And all day, every day, the Wemmicks did the same thing, just like we do. They gave each other stickers. Each Wemmick had a box of golden stars, star stickers, and a box of gray dots. Up and down the streets, all over the city, people spent their days sticking stars or dots on one another. It's hard to imagine, isn't it? The pretty ones, those with smooth wood and fine paint, they always got stars. But if the wood was rough or the paint chipped, the Wemmicks gave dots. The talented ones got stars too. Some could lift big sticks high above their head or jump over tall boxes. Still others knew big words or could sing pretty songs. Yes, ma'am. Everyone gave them stars. Some Wemmicks had stars all over them. Every time they got to star, it made them feel so good. It made them want to do something else and get another star. Others, though, could do little, and they got dots. Punchinello was one of these. He tried to jump high like the others, but he always fell. And when he fell, the others would gather around and give him dots. Sometimes when he fell, his wood got scratched, so the people would give him more dots. Then when he would try to explain why he fell, he would say something silly, and the Wemmicks would give him even more dots. After a while, he had so many dots that he didn't want to even go outside. He was afraid he would do something dumb, such as forget his hat or step in the water. And then, yes, people would give him even more dots. In fact, he had so many gray dots that some people would come up and give him one just for no reason at all. You need a dot, buddy, right here. He deserves lots of dots. The wooden people would agree and with one another. And he's not a good wooden person. After a while, Punchinello believed them. I'm not a good Wemmick, he would say. The few times he went outside, he hung around other Wemmicks who had a lot of dots too because it made him feel better. I think we all do that. One day he met a Wemmick who was unlike any he had ever met. She had no dots or stars. She was just wooden, nothing else. Her name was Lucia. It wasn't that people didn't try to give her stickers, or it's just that the stickers didn't stick. Some of the Wemmicks admired Lucia for having no dots, so they would run up and give her a star, but it would always fall right off. Others would look down on her for having no stars, for they would give her a dot, but it wouldn't stay either. That's the way I want to be, thought Punchinello. I don't want anyone's marks. So he asked the stickerless Wemmick how she did it. Well, it's easy, Punchinello, Lucia replied. Every day I go see Eli. Eli, yes, Eli the woodcarver. I sit in the workshop with him. Why? Well, why don't you find out for yourself? Go up the hill, he's there. And with that, the Wemmick who had no stickers turned and skipped away. But wait, will he want to see me? Punchinello cried out loudly. Lucia didn't hear. So Punchinello went home. He sat near a window and watched the wooden people as they scurried around giving each other stars and dots. It's not right, he muttered to himself. It's just not right. And he finally decided to go see Eli. Punchinello walked up the narrow path to the top of the hill and stepped into the big shop. His wooden eyes widened at the size of everything. The stool was as tall as he was, and he had to stretch on his tippy toes to see the top of the workbench. The hammer was as long as his arm. Punchinello swallowed really hard. Well, I'm not staying here, man. I'm going. I'm leaving. And he turned to leave right then. But then he heard his name. Punchinello. The voice was deep and strong. Punchinello stopped. Punchinello, how good to see you. Come and let me have a look at you. Punchinello turned slowly and looked at the large, bearded craftsman. You know my name? The little Wemmick asked. Well, of course I do. I made you. Eli stooped down and picked him up and set him on the bench. The maker spoke thoughtfully as he looked at the gray dots. Looks like you've been given some really bad marks. Well, I didn't mean to, Eli. I really tried hard. Oh, you don't have to defend yourself to me, child. I don't care what the other Wemmicks think. You don't? You don't care what they think? No, and you shouldn't either. Who are they to give stars or dots? What they think doesn't matter, Punchinello. All that matters is what I think, and I think you are pretty special. Punchinello laughed. Me special? Why? I can't walk fast, I can't jump, my paint is peeling. Why do I matter to you? Eli looked at Punchinello, put his hands on those small wooden shoulders and spoke very slowly. Because you're mine. That's why you matter. Now, Punchinello had never had anyone look at him like this, much less his maker, and he did not know what to say. Every day I've been hoping you'd come, Eli explained. I came because I met someone who had no marks, said Punchinello. Well, I know, she told me about you. Why don't the stickers stay on her? Why don't the stickers stay? The maker spoke softly again, and he said, because she has decided that what I think is more important than what they think. The stickers only stick if you let them. The stickers only stick if we let them. The more you trust my love, and the less you care about their stickers. Punchinello said, well, I'm not sure I understand. Eli smiled and said, you will, but it will take time. You have got a lot of marks. For now, just come to see me every day and let me remind you how much I care. Eli lifted Punchinello off the bench and set him on the ground. Remember, Eli said as the Wemmick walked out the door, you are special because I made you, and I don't make mistakes. I love that story. Unfortunately, we live in a world that is oftentimes seems filled with prejudice and things that go bump in the night and things we don't like. But the reality is, it is us who takes on that stickers and believes what people are saying about us. We have all been carefully taught from a very early age things about us that are true illusions, and yet we grab onto them and believe them with all of our might, just like this little Wemmick did as well. And every time someone said something negative to him, he grabbed on that and said, yes, that's me, that's who I am. But he was wrong all the time. And that's absolutely the truth about us. Every time we receive a sticker in life, and it does hurt, but it really hurts because we believe that's true about ourselves when it is never true about ourselves. It's one of the reasons I love this book, because I think it helps us see outside of ourselves and see how incredible we really are as human beings. Now, Black History Month is filled with examples of serious prejudice for sure. And as a Unity minister, I was really surprised to find that as I studied Unity's history, it turned out that they have a history that is not as unified as you would think. They were allowing black people, Negro people at the time, to become ministers. But those individuals who were going through the school in Unity Village were actually not allowed to eat in the cafeteria with the other students. They were not allowed to stay on campus overnight like the other students. This is back in the 30s, 40s, and 50s. It was a cultural thing, and it wasn't that everybody was terrible, but they just had not raised their consciousness enough to realize that unity means all of us, every single person, as inclusive as we can get our hands and arms around, and even greater than that. Unity struggled with that for many, many years, and the school that I actually went to was Unity's urban ministerial school, and it was founded by an African-American woman in the middle 1980s. That's pretty late, because she was still seeing the signs of latent prejudice within that organization. And that seems impossible to believe here in 2025. But it was true. And so she started a program that made it easier for people who had to work for a living to go to ministerial school. And it showed up in my life, and it's been a blessing to me. So as we take these kinds of thoughts into meditation now, let's place our feet on the ground and close our eyes if you wish. And let's take a look at what our own thoughts are. Let's take a deep breath into that and exhale out. Only love for everyone around you, for everyone in the world. Take a moment to examine our own thoughts individually and see where we may be holding ourselves back and not allowing everyone into our sphere, everyone into our lives. Take a look at where we individually can take a step forward and to be even more inclusive in our lives. Examine the individual prejudices that we may have. Not to take on any form of guilt, but to become more enlightened about who we are as individuals so that we can take another step higher to become more and more conscious, as we are all meant to be and all guided to be. Let's reach inside and take another deep breath and let it all out and see it as only peace and love for everyone that is around us. And if there's a word or two within you that you need to let go of, then let's do it with love. Nothing about guilt or shame is involved here. It's only about love and only about growing to become a better and better human being that we have always been planned to be. Eli, the maker, in one form or another, made the thought of each one of us individually. And that thought was at the highest level of spiritual awareness that we can even imagine. It allows us to grow and grow and continue to grow each and every day. And that is what we're called on to do. Let's take a moment in the silence now and just see the beautifulness and the wonder in each and every one of us in this room, knowing that every time we let go of a little bit of a dot and let all the others fall off, we become more spiritual and more conscious and more available to everyone around us. Let's take a moment and see the beauty and perfection and love that is living in the hearts of each and every one. Now, as we begin to come out of a meditation, just see this light beginning to form within your heart. Let it begin to shine out and surround you with real love, true love, without prejudices, without judgments, without guilt, without shame. Know that this is the real you that wishes to live in this world. And it's right here now for each and every one of us. God bless you guys. Thanks so much.